Hello everyone! It is currently May, which means we're gonna draw us some mermaids. Alright, first off, let's talk about what Mermay actually is. So if you may or may not have heard of it, it is a sort of agreement amongst a bunch of artists who decide to get together and post artworks of mermaids every day in May, or for every day in May. So yeah, sharing them on social media with the hashtag Mermay. It's super awesome to just look and see what other people have done. Some people use prompts, not everyone does. There are some official prompts. I'm not using them strictly. I am using some prompts from the official list, some prompts that I just came up with myself, some that I've seen other places, just sort of a jumble, because I wanted to make sure the prompts that I chose were ones that were really going to inspire me and that I was going to be happy with. So the prompt for today's video, today's artwork, is Dinosaur. So this was both exciting and kind of terrifying for me. I do not know a lot about dinosaurs. I have very little knowledge about dinosaurs, and so I just went for it. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So first, before I talk about the artwork anymore, I want to talk about the idea of Mermay, which is of course just basically draw a mermaid every day. And this really didn't appeal to me for a very long time. Mermaids were not my thing. Growing up, I was very much into dragons and everything dragon related. Mermaids were not my favorite mythical creature, so I just paid them no mind, which I kind of regret. They're kind of cool, and because they're a very humanoid, they give me like practice for anatomy, but also, permission to stretch it in ways that I didn't feel like I could do before with just a regular human body. Like having it be a mythical creature means that I can play around with it a little bit more and feel that sort of freedom, which is a really fun thing about mermaids and anything mythical. But I think that mermaids are a really useful tool for my art in particular, and Mermay is probably going to be even more instrumental in that I'm drawing every day, which means that I'm really going to have to stretch myself and what I'm doing for each artwork to really learn a lot. I'm hoping to learn a lot about composition and anatomy and how to make a piece look very put together and like it has been well composed. And I think that having any 30-day or 31-day drawing challenge is super useful, but this one in particular, I think because it's fairly specific in the subject matter, I think that it'll help me out a lot. So that's what I had to say about Mermay. Now let's talk about the artwork for this day. I believe this was for day 4, so it was a little while ago. It was dinosaurs. And even though I've always loved dragons, dinosaurs never held my interest at all. I don't know, because they actually existed, they weren't as interesting, I guess. I had to explore a lot about this idea in my sketchbook. So I have a couple pages in my sketchbook just filled with random sketches of mermaids interacting with dinosaurs in any way that I could think of, so that I could get an idea of what I actually wanted to do. And I did not look up any references for what dinosaurs look like, so I recognized that, well, this sort of looks like a triceratops. It is not anatomically correct, which I am totally okay with, because even though dinosaurs aren't, strictly speaking, mythological or made up, there's still just all we know about them is some little bone fragments, and they've been glued together, and we're assuming that's what they look like. So maybe they actually look like what I drew. Who knows? Maybe they look nothing like it, but I'm good with how it looks. There are some details on this dinosaur that I feel like maybe look a little awkward. I noticed later that I had the back of the triceratops sloping down when I feel like it should slope up. Actually, if it was going to be this big animal, it would probably have an arched back, but that's alright. I also really like the beak, how the beak turned out. That was fun. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the dinosaur. I really love how I got them to interact, and I really pushed the anatomy of the mermaid in this piece. First of all, I really had a struggle to figure out how to make it look like she was actually on this dinosaur and not falling off. That was difficult. I think I kind of managed it. She looks like she's propped up there pretty securely. Yeah, so that was fun. I had lots of different ways that I thought a mermaid could interact with a dinosaur, and that was just kind of fun. I actually really enjoyed this prompt, especially when you think about dinosaurs being around for a long time. Why couldn't there be mermaids around then too? And then they would have been together. Maybe mermaids have been around a lot longer than humans have. Who knows? So now let's talk about the colors for this composition. I kept it very basic, just mainly a couple greens and then some earthy reds. I kept it very neutral and earth tones. I wanted it to be very cohesive, and I love these colors. I think I desaturated them enough that the red is kind of purpley, and it just works together really well. I love how the complementary colors make the whole thing pop, but they still don't look like they're out of place at all. So I think that I love the colors that I chose for this one. I outlined this piece with a dip pen, which is really fun for different line quality. I made it pretty sketchy, so that I did some shading with the pens, and I didn't worry about precision most of it. There were a couple lines that went way out there, and there was nothing I could do about that, but for the most part I was pretty happy to just let it be pretty loose. So the background, you can see eventually I'll paint in these ferns, and those were a challenge. I don't know why, I couldn't get them to stay in one place. I definitely had a lot of water on my brush, which was making things difficult, but I wanted the colors to be right, so I don't know. I was struggling with the ferns a lot. It's alright, they're in the background, who cares? And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the gold ink that I put on her scales, and there's a little bit on the dinosaur's eye. I love these details with gold ink, because I love gold ink on everything. But yeah, I just love adding little touches of gold, and I think that it was a nice pop for this piece. Okay, one last thing. The materials for this piece, I used the Strathmore Vision mixed media sketchbook. I used my Cotman watercolors, some Winsor and Newton ink, Dr. P.H. Martins Irridescent copper gold color, and yeah, that was all I did. So that's this piece. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint something for Mermay. If you want to check out what I've been doing for that, you can check out my Instagram. Hopefully, I'll have all 31 days on there soon. And that's all for today. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, live life respectfully. Bye.